I think it is typically our instinct that when we do our best work and create facilities that are memorable, that it will be a compliment to the neighborhood, it'll be an amenity for the neighborhood, and typically good retail follows other good retail.
Before Colectivo, these sites were a mess. In Bayview, there was a dry cleaning facility next door, which is one of the worst, things that you could have on a site. On the Humboldt facility, it was a derelict warehouse for years.
We didn't realize we had to lower it by about 4 feet, which meant we had to truck off about 16 million pounds of foundry sand. So those were both a little unanticipated and certainly not small costs. But fortunately, through the partnership with the DNR and WEDC, we were able to mitigate those costs and create a really great facility.
A brownfield is that corner gas station that's been abandoned for years, that no one ever wanted to go near. It's the old, spooky, abandoned warehouse. It's now become something viable in their community. In Potosi, it was the brewery, and in Milwaukee, it was the Colectivo site.
So the DNR can get involved in a number of ways in projects depending on the needs of the community or the real estate developer or the project.
We wouldn't have been able to do what we see today if it wasn't for the DNR and the Brownfield Grant Program.
Working on brownfields is never just a means to an end. It's a labor of love, I think, for anyone who does it, whether it's your profession like me or whether you're just a local champion.
I think a lot of people think that working with governmental agencies, be they city, state, or feds, is somehow this intractable mess, and we've just not found that to be the case.
For many of us in the DNR who work on brownfields, it's in our heart. It's not just a technical, scientific-based cleanup that needs to happen. We care about the environment, we care about those communities, and so to see what happened in Potosi and with Colectivo Milwaukee, it's in our heart, and that makes us smile.
It's great to bring vitality to a neighborhood that hasn't necessarily aged gracefully.
This was both a win for the ecology of the place, a win for the community, and a win for the business because they have a place where everybody wants to be here and be part of a story like that.
There was a time when preservation was merely in the business of saving an old building here or there. Today, preservation is in the business of saving communities and the values that they embody. And what you're going to see in this structure is that very thing, saving a community and the values that it embodied. And that, to me, is a tremendous sense of accomplishment.
I grew up in town here in the small town of Potosi, and growing up here, this building always existed, but it was basically just dilapidated and in a state of disrepair. And so when I moved back into the area, it was pretty amazing to see the renovation that had happened, both physically, but then also to the community overall.
This building sat empty from 1972 to about 1999. And every year that it sat empty, it got a little worse and a little worse. And so there was some apprehension whether this can even be restored.
If you look at Potosi and pictures of Potosi before that specific site, you would think it's from a war-torn country. It was something that you had to behold. And if you look at some of these pictures from before, it's hard to believe that it's now this jewel for Potosi that it is.
The folks from the DNR brought individuals in to determine the amount of dangerous elements that were in the building, including asbestos and the lead paint, determined what the best avenue for removal of that would be, and then did the estimations on what that would cost.
We received a couple of supports from the DNR. One was a $130,000 grant for removing asbestos from the building. Being an old building, obviously it had asbestos in it. And then I believe the DNR was also involved with the $400,000 brownfield grant.
A lot of our people in this community either work in Dubuque, Platteville, or other areas, and to have a meaningful number of people working back in Potosi was one of the number one objectives that we had.
Is bringing in between 65,000 and 70,000 people a year. It has provided employment either directly or indirectly for about 120 to 130 people. Other businesses have opened up, other buildings have been rehabilitated because of what has happened in this building.
people are starting to invest more money into the community. You're starting to see new businesses pop up, and that's pretty exciting to see in a small town like this.
Thanks to a lot of good partners throughout the fundraising process, we were able to pull this together.
It was all about partners. It was all about working together with other groups. We could have not done this by ourselves. So one of the reasons we have a restored brewery today is because of the partnerships that we had with organizations like the Department of Natural Resources.
We are making about 7,500 barrels of beer a year. We're growing, we're up 30% over last year, and we hope to continue that trend as we move forward.